most of the time we will not use it, but just I'm telling you there are different types of creation of variables. Exactly, you can do that. Okay, fine. Now explain the different selectors in data. Are you aware of selectors? What are that exactly? For example, like we use dot, right? What is that dot? It is a single value selector. Okay, for example, like say dot key name, payload dot key name. Then what happens? Only that particular single value will be selected and you'll get the value. Okay, you'll get the value. That's known as single value selector. That is dot key name. It returns the first matching value of an object and it returns the first matching value of every element in an array. If it is object, what happens? It will return the first matching value of an object. If it is array, it will try to give the first element of an array. Okay. For example, like payload dot some key, obviously you'll receive that. Okay. Now multi-value selector. Okay. That is dot star key name. If you give dot star key name, what happens? It returns all values for a specified level, but the values of it returns all values for the specified level, but not the values of all descendants. For example, like there are multiple hierarchies. Okay, whatever hierarchy you have mentioned, in that hierarchy it will give all the values, but not the under hierarchy. For example, like you have one more level, maybe that will not be achieved exactly. That will not be extracted. And if you want descendant all hierarchies exactly, then you can go for dot dot. Okay, dot dot. It returns all values of matching keys irrespective of hierarchy. Okay, and index selector. Index selector will be using it for array, right? To get the values of array exactly, right? It can be applied over an array, string or object for the value of a specified position. Whenever you wanted to, for example, like first property. Okay, if you do square basis of 0, first key value pair of that particular object will be given. Array first value of or the first value of that particular array will be received exactly. Now that is known as index selector. What is that? Index selector. Okay. We know we will use this, but we don't know what are the terminologies for it exactly. Okay. And then attribute selector. What is this attribute selector? Whenever you wanted to extract some what is attributes from a XML. See, XML will have attributes, right? What is that exactly? In the opening tag or the opening tag, if you see, there are multiple values or multiple key and values there exactly. What happens if you wanted to extract the attributes of that particular XML header? Then you can take the this one attribute selector dot @ attribute name. If you give that, automatically it will retrieve the values of attributes in the XML header. Okay, fine. Now and in the range index selector, right? If it is 0, the first one will be there. Okay, index starts from 0, right? And for the second value, payload of 1. For example, like if you wanted to extract the last one, payload of -1. Okay, got it? For example, like you wanted to take the range, then you can go for 0 to 2. 0 to 2 or 0 to 1 or 0 to 3 or 0 to 4, whatever is the range you wanted to go for, you can go for this exactly. Okay. See, it doesn't mean that in every interview they'll ask some questions like this exactly. Okay, but still it is good to know, and if you go with knowledge, if you encounter with some questions of this kind, then at least you can tell, or you will be aware that okay, for example, like I wanted to use dot dot key and dot dot selector for getting all the values in the object or array irrespective of the hierarchy exactly. Now explain some datetime functions used in DataWeave. Obviously, what is that now, right? Now function can be utilized. Now, if you wanted to convert the time zone, for example, automatically, if it is in Cloud Hub, what is the time zone you will be referred to? What exactly? No, server only, but normally by default.
UTC time zone.
Yeah, UTC time zone. Okay, by default. Okay, for example, like if you wanted to convert that into a different time zone, what is the syntax you need to use? Now greater than, for example, like the time zone you have to use the where these time zones will be available in MuleSoft official websites itself. You have the time zones what to say, the syntax is available for them and you can get it. For example, like you wanted to use Japan time zone, then you can convert that into time zone. What is the syntax? Now greater than and the time zone exactly which you wanted to mention, then it will convert the timestamp to a time zone whatever we have specified for exactly. Okay, now we'll give us date and time, date and time, right? If I want only date, now as date will return only date. Okay, now as date format, if you wanted to convert that into a different format, what is the syntax? This is a, for example, by default it will be 2021 yy minus minus dd. Okay, hyphen dd, that will be converted into yy hyphen hyphen dd. Okay, for for month I am using capital. Okay, that is the syntax you need to follow exactly. Please observe that. Okay, now if I wanted to increase the time by 15 minutes, what is the syntax? pt 15m in separators actually, pipe symbols. Okay, in pipe symbols. pt is the word, pt is the syntax you need to use exactly, and 15 m minutes, right? And it is in caps exactly. Okay, we'll increase the time by 15 minutes. If it is 10 days, p 10 days. I think we have used one function, right, for minus 1 day, minus p 1 day, right? The same way actually, I have used plus here. If you wanted to reduce, you can go for minus exactly. pt is used to increase the time in hours, minutes or seconds, and p is used to increase the time in years, months and days. Okay, right, that is a syntax. Triple M, that is the reason you got dec. If you write you will receive 12. Got it? Okay, see, try actually, these are all very very important. You need to try and see in DataWeave playground or in your uh, studio. And one more thing I can tell you, DataWeave documentation of MuleSoft is very very strong. Okay, but it is too much. There are so many things. If you want it, if you start learning about it, it will take a lot of time. But here I am discussing whatever is required. Okay, first try to focus on the concepts which I discussed exactly. Go to the documentation, try out different ways, then you'll get the knowledge required exactly. Okay, and one more thing what I will try to do, I told you, right, whatever is the questions which I which are asked in the most of the interviews. Okay, for solving they'll ask you to share the screen and then write the scripts exactly. I told you, right, I will do that. At least 20-25 questions or maybe 10 to 20 questions, I'll keep it in one file and you can practice them. At least if you are ready with them, if they ask you immediately, you will get the idea and then you can change it. Okay, see, if I think in the previous session someone was asking for 5 years people, right, exactly, like in the last week I have taken almost like three, this week Monday to Friday I have taken almost 4 to 5 interviews. Okay, I just wanted to share that experience with you people. One is 13 years, one is 9.5 years, one is 10 years. Okay, these kind of experienced people only. We wanted a good experienced person and we want a lead who can lead the team as well as who can contribute individually exactly. That is the expectation for us. I'm taking the first round. My Senior manager will take the second row, technical row. Okay. For example, whatever the questions, DataWeave questions, and I am going to give you as a file, or what are the questions available in we are discussing, right? I'm giving the same questions, but I am not able to get the proper answers. Okay. Even in API manager also, I ask the same questions. Web services also, I'm asking the same questions. In RAML also, I'm asking the same questions. I'm not going out of the questions which I have, which I'm discussing now. Till now, I haven't sent any guy for the second row. Okay, I have sent one guy, and that guy was again rejected in the second row. You got it? See, it means that, what does it mean? If you have the knowledge of all these questions, right, you are most likely to be selected. That's what my intention is exactly. I don't want to degrade them. I'm not but they have good exposure. They have worked on real-time projects, so 3 to 4 real-time projects exactly. They have worked on different connectors, different systems and all. But still, they're unable to, because what is the reason? They're not focusing. They are in a comfortable zone and they don't want to extend their knowledge. It doesn't mean that they don't know. They are not extending their knowledge. Okay, but here already we are discussing, right, and I'm keeping everything in individually and at one place. It's very easier for you to understand, okay, in DataWeave what I should prepare. If you get prepared of these questions, right, most probably 70 to 80% of the time you will be able to clear. Okay, that's what my intention is exactly. Okay, see, I have asked web services questions. Yesterday I got a profile of 9.5 years. I asked him the clear difference of put and patch. He was unable to answer. I asked him when to go for rest and when to go for soup. He was not able to answer. Okay. It's like they don't know. Or it's not like that they don't know. They know, but they're not focusing in a deep manner. Like they are just covering at the higher level, and they'll be able to do the work. Okay. But they have to lead a team, right? When they wanted to lead a team, what is the expectation? They have to be very clear with their understanding. For example, if they know 10 concepts, they have to be very clear with those 10 concepts exactly. Okay, fine. Now, see here you have to practice. If you just listen in DataWeave, if I start doing it, it will take a lot of time to show you a practice and show everything exactly. That is the reason I'm not trying to do it. I'm discussing them theoretically. But your job is to go use the DataWeave playground or Anypoint Studio and try to do all this exactly. Okay, and I'm discussing not more than 20-30 functions exactly. Okay, if you have a knowledge on these 20-30 functions, that is more than enough. Okay, right, fine. Now see here, I just wanted to tell you, you're directly trying to change now as date, right? This is very confusing thing for most of the people. I just wanted to discuss this exactly. That is the reason I'm going to date conversion. Is a very confusing thing in the real time also. See, now will return you already date format because it will be in Java format, right? But most of the time you will be receiving what format? JSON. JSON will send you text format or date format. It will send the date in text format, right? Now at that point of time, if you use the function directly, it will not work properly. That's what I just wanted to show you. Okay, for example, see here. Now, what is this? This double quotes are. See, whenever you are trying to copy and paste from the file which I have given, right? First check for the double quotes. If they are not proper, what happens is you'll not be able to get it. See here. Now as date. I directly used as date exactly. But when you get it from JSON, right, you cannot use as date exactly. Okay. See, for example, now what is the format which I changed? This is the format. Now, for example, like directly now as date, see YYYMMDD direct format. I changed that to a different format exactly. Now, I'll give the same thing in string. Okay, what is the date which is there? Okay, can I copy this? Okay, y hyphen caps m dd, right? Is it getting converted? Okay, now what you should do, okay, is that converted? First, I'm taking the same format into date format. I'm changing, see, because it is in a string format, right? I'm changing it to date format first in the same format. Say I'm not changing the format, but it is in string format. I'm changing it to date format in the same order. YYY Then I'm changing that date format to the required date format as it is in a string. Okay, in most of the real time also this will be blocker for you. Exactly, if they ask you to share and write also, this is you need to work on the date format. Exactly. Now 15 minutes 10 days, right? pt is used. See, whenever you wanted to extract an year from now function, directly you can take it now dot year, you'll get the year. Exactly. Day, you can get the day. Month, you can get the month. Okay, fine. Now explain concat function. Concat is used to append to strings, objects or arrays. Okay, concat is used to append to strings, objects or arrays. And see, mostly in real time I have never used this, but just for reference I have written exactly. We can use, there is, see, other way to do it also, but most of the time we'll be using this function. Okay, nothing to be worried about it here. Some object destructor and this syntax also used to concatenate in some scenario. But in my experience till now I haven't used that. That's what I told you, right? If you go to MuleSoft documentation, what happens, there'll be too much which is not used in real time also. Okay, but follow the documentation here first and then use this knowledge and then explore with the help of MuleSoft documentation. Okay, fine. See, what is a pluck function? What is pluck exactly? Pluck iterates over an object and outputs those values into an array. Okay, maybe a question will be how to convert an object into an array. Then you can use pluck object. Object to array. Array to object. Reduce, right? Okay, right. Next, what is the difference between pluck and map object? Okay, what pluck will do? Pluck will take object, right? And it will convert into an array. See, both pluck and map object functions iterate over an object. Okay, but pluck outputs the object values into an array, whereas map object outputs an object only. Okay, right? Now, what are map and map object functions? Explain the differences between them. Exactly. Okay, the map function iterates over the elements of an array, transforms the data and outputs as an array of transformed elements. Exactly. Payload, map of value and index. Okay, We should call it as item generally. Okay. And you can write the braces and then you know the syntax, right? Whenever you go for writing the DataWeave script, try to use the intelligent operation. Exactly, as soon as you try to give map, right, automatically it will come, right? If there is any confusion in the syntax and all for you, try to use the, for example, like I go here, automatically auto suggestions are coming, right? Now see, if I select map object, what happened? Automatically it gave the syntax for me there. Okay, no need to write the entire thing. Okay, try to use this exactly. And one more thing I just wanted to tell you, whenever they ask you to try write the scripts, right, they will give you the request and they will give you the response. They will ask you to write the script, right? Okay, well, how to do that? Now you'll go to the chat and you'll copy the request as well as the response, and request will be copied here. Response you can store it in a variable. No need to switch the screens every time. What is the response, how it should be? Okay, keep a variable here where o equal to, and then that output can be kept here. You can see it from here itself, right? Otherwise every time you are writing something and you have to go back and see the response, okay, whether I'm matching the response or not. If you keep it here itself, what happens? At least you will be able to see, okay, my response is matching or not here. Okay, right, got it? Now see, maybe what is dollar, double dollar in map function, they may ask you this exactly. Okay, what is dollar value? What is double dollar? How do you remember this? You mugged it up or how did you remember? See, dollar, the first one, as soon as you open the map, item index will be there. Okay, item is dollar, index is double dollar. Means first one is single, second one is double. Okay, map object, value, item, index, right? I think it will get 3 there. Okay, for example, like map object, if you observe here, value, key, index. Dollar is value, double dollar is key, triple dollar is index. Exactly. Okay, remember that. That's what I mentioned it here. Okay, fine. How to skip null values in DataWeave? For example, you are defining an object or something in the bottom. Okay, there are some null values. If you wanted to skip those, okay, how to do that? You can give skip null on equal to everywhere, should be mentioned in the headers part of the database. Okay, above that delimiter, hyphen 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 is there, right? Above that, if you give skip on in the output directive, like output application JSON will be there. After that, if you give skip on equal to everywhere, then you will be getting it exactly. It will be skipped. Okay, for example, okay, we'll try to do this payload dot message, right? Okay, fine. Now I'll give one more. Payload dot name is there, for example. Here it is not there, right? What will be the value? Null, right? Okay, if I wanted to skip this, okay, now I'll go back here, I'll copy this, I'll keep it here. These double quotes are not proper, I'll change that. Did you see this? You can skip the null values like this exactly. Now how we practiced, simply we came to DataWeave playground. This way you need to practice exactly. Okay, fine. Now ignore the fields with null values. It should be mentioned in the header. Values can be attributes, elements, or everywhere. See, I told everywhere. It can be attributes also. It can be, I told everywhere. It means that it will skip the null values everywhere. If you do it for attributes or elements, please check it out. What will happen? maybe the questions will be what are the different data formats you worked on. Okay, maybe you can tell mostly like JSON, XML, and CSV, and try to have some knowledge on XML, how to work on XML data exactly, how to work on CSV data also. The basic things which mostly they'll ask you related to JSON only, but sometimes if they wanted to test for XML and CSV also, they may try to test you on that particular questions. But 80% of the time they'll be having questions on JSON part only. Okay. Now, what is the DataWeave version you have used and what is the latest version? Okay, DataWeave version we are trying to use is 2.0, right? If you observe. Okay, and then what is the latest version? 2.6.0. Now they may ask you what are the differences or what are the advantages of using 2.6.0. Now what you can do, you can go to again search for it, advantages of 2.6.0 or 2.0, and then most probably there are very less chances, but these kind of questions will encounter when they'll ask you like how do you keep up with the latest updates of the technologies exactly. Then they'll ask you like what are the ways. For example, like you can tell you I'll attend meetups. MuleSoft will conduct meetups, online meetups as well as offline meetups also. They may ask you which meetup group you are part of exactly. You can tell MuleSoft meetup in Hyderabad, and I'll be attending these sessions there exactly. That is one thing. I'll refer to MuleSoft release notes. Okay, release notes are part of the latest updates exactly. Whatever the latest updates they'll be giving. And see why they will ask this question is they wanted to test your knowledge about the latest updates in the technology. Okay, and some people just ask you what are the latest updates exactly, but there are some people they'll ask you what are the advantages of it. For example, like cloud hub 2.0 has come, okay, in the last maybe November or December of 2023. They may ask you like what is the difference between cloud hub 1.0 and 2.0, what are the advantages of using cloud hub 2.0. You may tell cloud hub 2.0 is released, but at least 2-3 points if we can discuss with cloud hub 2.0 also, it gives a good indication to the interviewer exactly. Okay, that particular part also I'll discuss in the last session of our thing. Okay, fine. Now, how do you call config properties in DataWeave? We know, right? P function is used as mentioned. P of property name for normal. If it is secure, P of secure : property name. Exactly. How to log a message in DataWeave? In DataWeave script, I wanted to log. It's not logger. There is a log function where you can use in DataWeave, and then you can log the message exactly. Log the message means log the component. See, this is the syntax. Log should be used, and you can give the type of message you wanted to, and then the actual message here. Okay, fine. Can we call a subflow using lookup in DataWeave? Only you can call private flow and main flow. Okay, no, we cannot call a subflow using the lookup function in DataWeave. How do you convert an array to a string or explain join by function? Okay, what are the functions generally? Map object, distinct by, split by, join by, okay, reduce, pluck, okay, filter object. Okay, mostly these are more than enough. If you are very confident about these 10 to 15 functions, right, that is more than enough exactly. Okay, fine. Now I asked join by. See, convert an array to a string or explain join by. See here, join by merges an array into a single string value and uses provided string as a separator between each item in the list. Join by performs the opposite task of split by. What split by will do? Split by will take a string and it will convert into array based on the parameter you define. Join by, what it will do? It will take the array and then it will convert into a string. For example, see here, ABC is there in array. I just wanted to join by with the help of hyphen. Now what happens? A hyphen B hyphen C as a string will come output. Okay, you can do it here also. See here. Okay, this is an array. It is converted into string, right? With the help of parameter. What did we define? With the help of hyphen. A-B-C. See, how do you perform a null check in DataWeave? We have a function called isEmpty. Okay, if you check that whether you are receiving a null value or you are receiving a value, you'll be coming to know exactly. Okay, the isEmpty function is used to perform a null check. It works on an array, object, or string. It works on 3. Already we have seen this, right? How to mask in DataWeave. What is that? Mask function is there. We'll try to use the mask function. And they may ask you sometimes syntax exactly. Just try to remember those things also. Okay. Payload, mask, field with, this is the syntax exactly. And how to retrieve application name and flow name to print in the log. Flow.name, app.name are used. And they work in loggers only. They will not work out of loggers in MuleSoft. Explain if else in DataWeave. For example, like if I have multiple conditions, if it is only 2 conditions, that's fine. I'll use if else. If I have multiple conditions, what I'll try to do? I can go for if, else if, else if, else if, then else. If there are 4 conditions, first condition in if, else if second condition, third condition else if, fourth condition default. No, only 3 conditions, rest other falls into else. Got it? That's what I am discussing. If statement evaluates the expression, if it is true, returns the value under if condition. Otherwise, it returns the value under else. If you want to apply multiple conditions, then go for else if also. Okay, if conditions, value, else value. Next, explain read URL in DataWeave. Where did you observe this read URL? If you remember. In a unit recorder, payload, attributes, variables, right? There, if you go back and observe this read URL, what it will try to do, it will record all the payloads, variables, attributes, and all. It will save in the SRC test resources, okay, as files, and those files has to be used in the unit test. How it will be done? With the help of this read URL. For example, see, read URL is used to read a URL or file and returns the content inside that exactly. See here, I'm giving the class path and my file.json under src resources exactly. Now I can get the, I'm specifying the data format also. I'll receive the data. I need to add DataWeave questions, practice questions. I'll add that. Okay, fine. With this, we'll be completing DataWeave. Any questions so far? See, if you go to see, these are the SRC test time units, right? And where the resources will be saved, see here. Like this, they are saved, right? As files. Now, how to refer these files? With the help of read URL. There is error one. I'll take the other one. See, for example, set event or mock, wherever you go, you will be seeing all read URLs exactly. See, you are trying to use that class path. Go to this particular folder and then set event underscore payload dot DWL. It will refer to SRC test resources. Okay, all the MUnit related resources will be saved in SRC test resources. Okay, if you do it manually also, what you have to do, you have to define them in SRC test resources, and then from there you need to refer it. And path is there, and then slash the corresponding file name. Okay, and if you observe here, see application JSON and UTF-8. Read URL is used to read a URL or file and returns the content in it exactly. Okay, fine. In this context, what are we reading exactly? We are reading a file. This file, set event underscore payload dot DWL file. Okay, got it? Fine, right? Okay, any questions?